Good evening. Could we have you all work your way into the chapel, please? If you're a candidate, please come and find your chair up here on the stand.
Carson is going to lead us in the conversation.
We have plenty of seats. If you'll slide to make room for others to slide in, that would be appreciated. I see Marlo Oaks. Do you want to come sit up on the stand with us, Marlo? Trent's on his way up. All candidates, please come find a seat on the stage here. Do we do the Boy Scout thing? We're quiet. See if that still works or if it's rusty. That's amazing. All you in the very back, if you'd like to come in and get seated, we can start. If you can slide to the outside to make room for those stragglers that are coming, that would be gracious of you. I'd like to welcome you all this evening to Wallsburg Community, Wasatch County. A beautiful place to live, a nice place to visit. Thank you all for coming. My name is Mark Allen, and 8 days ago this was just nothing but a pipe dream. One or two phone calls later, and look at what a tremendous outpouring and of support. I'm grateful that we have an opportunity as Americans to come together and voice concerns and look for solutions. We have some really stellar candidates behind me who have been tirelessly going across our state. And it's a thankless business for them often. They hear a lot of complaints, but for each 300 complaints, maybe they get one thank you. So thank you. Before we do the pledge and prayer, there is one thing that I wanted to just briefly touch on. My dad's an engineer, and he has a little quote that he's recited a few times. That which is measured improves. That which is measured and reported upon improves exponentially. I've got a couple of little things I'm going to just pass around for you guys to look at, but there are races in America that we don't have much of a vote on. It's our most important race. Who are our judges? And do they equitably apply the law? So on all your seats, you've seen this citizen portal flyer. My brother Paul's behind that. My goal is to get cameras in courtrooms so we can monitor the conduct of judges and attorneys. Take a peek and pass those around. Buck, would you take one pass down each side? We have a lot of judges, and chances are, if I were to put any one of these guys on the spot to name the judges that are in your district, you probably couldn't do it. But they're supposed to apply the law based upon what we legislate, right? Thank you. Would like to start our meeting with a Pledge of Allegiance. It's going to be conducted by Buck. And then prayer will be given by Carolyn Marriott, who's the alternate state delegate. And then we'll have 2-minute speeches from each one of our candidates. And I ask that you refrain from applause, because you can tell it's already going to be an hour of commentary. Buck is our timer down here. He'll give a 1-minute time, and then he'll give you a 30-second time, and then he'll cut you off. And if you don't stop talking, I'm going to come put my arm around you. We'll go to that. Thank you.
I'll ask everyone to stand. Please follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Heavenly Father, we are so grateful to meet together tonight. We're so grateful to be Americans, grateful for our founding fathers and the founding documents that we stand on. We're so grateful for this great state of Utah, for these candidates who are willing to work for us and serve us. We would ask Thee to bless us with Thy Spirit tonight. Help us to have the spirit of discernment and know what will be best to do for our community and our state. We thank Thee again for so many blessings and say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much. A little order of housekeeping. There's been we've taken all the bolts off of these chair seats, so they have to cooperate. It's forced cooperation. Again, thank you. It's amazing. Anybody out there looking for a place to sit, there are still plenty of seats up in here if you want to work your way up in here. And if you that can make room, we've got 20 people back there standing, there's room for you up here. Dr. Kennedy, would you like to come up?
I'll wait right back here, Mark.
Okay, all right. Make sure the focus on that camera's good. I don't have any set order, but I do know that we have a few that have traveled along and have done more than almost humanly possible. So with that, I would like to start the evening, if we could, with Marlo Oaks, and then let's work our way. Marlo, let's work our way next over to Mike Mower. Will take us the second row first, and then we'll decide who's best behaved, and then we'll go from there.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. I'm Marlo Oaks. I'm the state treasurer. I'm thankfully running unopposed. I see my cousin here. Hello, Gina. What gets measured gets improved, as Mark was saying. Unfortunately, that's in one of the documents from the White House that talks about managing Mother Nature. What gets measured gets improved. Things like photosynthesis and other natural processes. This was contemplated with natural asset companies, if any of you heard of that. This idea that the New York Stock Exchange would list companies whose purpose was not economic activity, it was to manage Mother Nature and to maximize Mother Nature on land, which means no economic activity like oil extraction, mineral extraction, grazing, all of these things that are happening on public land. They could have raised money from investors around the world, including from China, Russia, and Saudi Arabia, and US, and then go out and manage land for conservation purposes. And this effort continues at the national level. One of the key issues that we have nationally is the consolidation of power. And that is, in our Constitution in the state of Utah, we have separate offices, treasurer, attorney general, and auditor. There was a bill this last session that didn't go anywhere, HB 545. I suggest all of you look it up. It contemplates appointing these independent offices instead of keeping them independent. Thank you. I think you can all figure out where I stand on that issue. That would effectively silence the treasurer and the auditor and the attorney general. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Mike Mower. I'm here representing Governor Spencer Cox and Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson, and I'm going to move quickly through some of the most conservative things that our governor's done. A lot of people think, well, is he really conservative? Well, you listen for yourself and decide. Are you for the Second Amendment? If you are, Governor Cox was the first governor in Utah history to sign constitutional carry. Are you pro-life? Governor Cox signed the most stringent methods out there to prevent abortion here in Utah. Are you for tax cuts? Governor Cox, and with the help of legislators who are here today, helped enact $1.2 billion in tax cuts in the last 3 years, the most of any gubernatorial administration. Do you support access to public lands? He and the Attorney General have filed 60 lawsuits to make sure that Utahns will always have access to our public lands. What about pay raises for teachers? They were able to give every teacher in Utah a $6,000 raise last year, while at the same time balancing our budget and giving a tax cut. It's because we're a well-managed state. What about kids in social media? Just moments ago, Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida signed a bill to make sure that parents are in control of what their kids see on the internet, not the Chinese Communist Party. Where did he get that idea from? He got that idea from Governor Spencer Cox here in Utah, who's been leading the way to make sure the parents are the ones who are in control of what goes on in their children's phones and what they see all the time. Do you like being a winner? Utah was recently named by U.S. News & World Report as the best state in the nation. Not second, not third, not fourth. We're number one. And you care about rural Utah. If you care about rural Utah, you've got a governor from Sanpete County who has moved 590 pre-existing state jobs to rural Utah. On behalf of the governor, thank you so much for your involvement here as delegates, and thanks for Mark for bringing us all together this evening. Have a great evening.
kind of winging this on the fly. I think it'd be fair to do the governor candidates first. So let's invite Sylvia up next, and then Carson, and then Phil.
It is nice to be here. I am Sylvia Fisk, and I am the daughter, middle child, of two hardworking school-teaching parents. As your governor, I will tell the truth. If you come to me with a question, I will answer it. What I won't do is serve you with a lawsuit to silence you. I won't allow my staff to sue you with a lawsuit to silence you. I will bring integrity, transparency, and truth back to our government, because I will be working for you, not special interest groups, not lobbyists, and not money. Thank you.
Fix this. Hold on. Coming up. Sorry, I hope I don't screw anything up.
You can get on your knees if you want.
I don't think I can stand like that for 2 minutes. My name is Carson Jorgensen. I'm running for governor. And I'm running because for far too long, I've been worried about the quality of leadership and the direction of our state. I know that you all feel it. We see that drift a little bit more blue every year. But we've seen what works. We've seen what policy works. Red works better than blue. Republican works better than Democrat. Conservative works better than liberal. We see it time and time again. So why do we elect these Republicans who find the need to wander down the middle of the road trying to please everybody when we know what works? And that's why I'm here. I have 5 little girls. My family, we've been ranching here in Utah for 6 generations, 170 years. I'm concerned that it's not going to make it to 7, and that's why I got involved in politics. I'd rather be home, working sheep, being out on the ranch, and doing those things. But this is far too important. There's far too much at stake. Over the past 10 years, we have doubled our state spending from $14 billion to about $29.5 billion. In the last 3 years, we have gone from taking $4 billion a year to roughly $9 billion a year from the federal government. An audit came out today, and the auditor put out that he was concerned about our dependency on the federal government. And right now, I can't think of a worse idea than to tie our success here as Utahns to the federal government, who is out of control printing money and putting it on the backs of your children. That's what's happening. And that's what we're going to put an end to. That's why I got involved, and we're not going to wander down the middle of the road. We need strong conservative leadership and a clear direction and a commitment to head that direction. And that's why I'm running for governor.
Hello, my name is Phil Lyman, and it's really great to be in Wallsburg with you tonight. I'm father of 5. My wife Jody and I have 5 kids, 17 grandkids. I'm from Blandy, Utah, and been in the legislature for 6 sessions and was a county commissioner before that. Went through some experiences standing up for my community in Blanding. Ended up getting charged federally, went to jail, got a pardon from Donald Trump, and I understand I understand the weaponization of the federal government, and I don't look kindly on it. And I don't look kindly on the weaponization of state government either. I want to quote something here from the Declaration of Independence. I'll kind of paraphrase it. All experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for the future of their security. That's exactly what we're facing here in the United States. If we don't think that our very livelihood, our very families are under threat, then we haven't been paying attention. During COVID, parents' rights were taken away. Their parents were referred to as domestic terrorists. Our children's personhood was taken away, putting them in masks involuntarily, keeping them in masks while the state was collecting nearly $1 billion in ESSER funds on the condition that our children remain in masks through the end of the school year. You thought it was to save grandma and grandpa, but it was financially driven. As we look at those funds going out in no-bid contracts and coming back into campaign accounts, it's called corruption. I'm tired of it. I'm really tired of watching it happening at the state level. I've watched the public lands be commandeered through Bureau of Land Management and environmentalists who are using them as a weapon. It's not okay. It's not a political platform for me. That's the reason I'm running for governor, and I would appreciate your support. Thank you.
Got some good candidates. Let's do the congressional race next. If we could, Dr. Kennedy, would you like to come up next? And some of the candidates are at other events tonight, but they expressed their wishes they could be here. But I'll turn the time over to Dr. Kennedy.
Mark, thanks for having me here tonight. Mark Allen's a good friend of mine, and I just sure appreciate what he's doing. So I'm Mike Kennedy, running for Congress, Congressional District 3, and I'm proud to say right now on the toes of my shoes, I have Uinta County coal dust because I was at Bonanza, the power plant of Bonanza, just this morning, taking a tour and seeing my friends in Uinta County, because we believe in the state of Utah that we should not disempower ourselves, that we should support our fossil fuels, that the climate crisis is being generated on, the hoax that's going on with that the reality is Utah should be energy independent, and I am going to fight for you to make sure that these environmental regulations that are destroying our country and threatening our very existence are decimated in Washington, D.C. So I'm fighting for you for that. When you think about central bank digital currency, I'm asking you right now, are you a big fan of central bank digital currency? Well, myself and Representative Clancy, we passed a bill that actually forbid the central bank digital currency in the state of Utah. I also passed a bill along with Trevor Lee, working with him, to demand that the federal government have the decency to notify us when they're going to drop illegal individuals in our state so that we can respond. So the reality is on this campaign, people say, are you going to fight? The reality is for 10 years in the state legislature, I have been fighting for you against mask mandates, against COVID vaccine requirements, and I'm proud to say that I'm here to fight for you to make Washington work for you instead of you working for Washington, D.C. I'm Mike Kennedy. I would be honored to have your support. Thank you very much for allowing me to be here tonight, and I'll be in the back to answer any questions you might have. Thank you very much.
I should have announced a few more. Let's, and excuse me if I don't recognize everybody's names and faces. If I miss anybody, please let me know. So Chris Herrod, I know that he's here. John Dougal. Is there Stewart Peay here? Yeah. Stewart. Kathryn. So let's go to that point, please.
I'm grateful to be in this valley. I've ridden, when I was younger, I used to ride my motorcycle up your canyons. It's a beautiful place here. People ask me now why I'm running, and the main thing that I say right now is just to stop the insanity. What we have going on right now in America, we cannot survive it. In 2007, when I entered the Utah legislature, I was a little bit naive. I thought, since I was the only person that had experienced the immigration process from start to finish, that I would be scared the name coming. I simply believe in the rule of law, that people should come to this country. It's the greatest country in the world. But I've been called racist, unchristian, uncompassionate, foaming at the mouth zealot, all because I believe that. Everybody's talking about illegal immigration now. When I was in the Utah legislature, I passed legislation. Unfortunately, the legislature and the governor got rid of my bill, the E-Verify bill. They basically gutted it 2 years ago. One of the things that you get with me is I am a fighter. Before I entered the Utah legislature, I was ranked #1 in the nation in fencing, in the sport of épée. My sister-in-law was the last Soviet Union fencing champion, and we kind of brought that. Well, I have a record. I planned the first Tea Party here in the state of Utah with David Kirkham. We were protesting. The sad thing in 2009, you know what we were protesting? $9 trillion. I passed the first human trafficking bill in the state of Utah. In 2007, in public utilities, I quoted Václav Klaus, who said, Václav Klaus was the Czech Republic president. But he said that climate change, in his experience, climate change is the new religion that has replaced communism. I started the Patrick Henry Caucus, fought for public lands, and I'll do that same thing if you're kind enough to send me to Washington, D.C. I promise that I will fight for you. And I ask that you come talk to me, look at my record. I do. I don't just say. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Stewart Peay. I'm running for Congress. To understand who I am, I want to tell you a little bit about me. In the summer of 1996, I enlisted in the Utah Army National Guard. I was sent to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. For those of you that have never been to Fort Leonard Wood or basic training, basic training is broken up into 4 blocks of 2 weeks each. The first 2 weeks, you learn how to polish your boots and salute. The second 2 weeks, you learn how to fire an M16. The third 2 weeks, you learn how to become a warrior. The way that starts is they put you all on a range, and everybody's sitting in some bleachers. A drill sergeant walks up in front of you. In our case, he was 6'3". He was from Atlanta, Georgia. He was right out of Central Casting. He's sitting there talking about what you do as a soldier, what it means to be. And at that moment, in the background, you can hear a 50 caliber machine gun start to echo through the hills. And he stops speaking, and he says, "Privates, do you hear that sound?" When you hear that sound, what do you do, privates? And he stood there, he paused calmly, and he said, "Privates, when you put that uniform on 4 weeks ago, you decided to run to that sound the rest of your life." Now, I had run to that sound before in my life. I was I was an early missionary in St. Petersburg, Russia, when the wall came down. As a soldier in Iraq, I got a call in the middle of late at night, as a National Guardsman, I got a call one night that said, "Hey, Stewart, we told you you weren't going with this group, but you're actually going. Be ready tomorrow morning, you're leaving Saturday." That was on a Tuesday night. As a lawyer in Salt Lake City, I've represented some of the state's largest clients in very large litigation. I've run to the fight every moment. I will fight for you in Washington, D.C. I have the skills to solve problems, to build coalitions, and to break this country out of the doldrums it finds itself in. My military, legal, and political experience, I was county party chair in Utah County for a couple years. We went from $15,000 to debt to $50,000 in the black when I left. We helped Burgess Owens get into office. Those skills will allow me to succeed in Washington and make the 3rd Congressional District proud. That's why I ask for your vote. Thank you very much.
I'm John Dougal, Frugal Dougal. I'm going to be a little more blunt than the treasurer. Over the last 12 years, I've fought to be your watchdog, to help you hold government accountable. There's a reason why auditors should be independently elected. You need to tell the legislature, you need to tell the governor not to take your vote away. Will you help me with that fight? Yes. Will you help me with that fight? Thank you. I'm running for Congress. I want to tell you what we're dealing with back there. A couple years ago, I drove down I-15, drove past a Prius with a bumper sticker that said, "Stop mining." Think about that for a minute. Stop mining. The 20-something driving that car clearly had no clue where the steel came from, the plastic, the tires. Did I mention it was a hybrid? What about that battery? Completely oblivious. Reagan said, "It's not that our liberal friends are ignorant. It's just so much what they know that just isn't so." That is the logic we're dealing with in Washington, D.C. I've spent years, both as a legislator and as auditor, fighting to get government off your back and out of your wallet. That's what I will continue to do in Congress. That's what you deserve, and I'll be frugal with your time. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Kathryn, Dahlin, and I'm running for Congress, and I want to thank you all for coming tonight, and a special thank you to Mark Allen for inviting us all up and organizing this wonderful event. I really appreciate it. Because I'm not a politician, I want to tell you a little bit about my background and what I am doing up here. I am a mom, I'm a taxpayer, I'm an advocate, and I am sick of the out-of-control spending in Washington. I became a state delegate about 10 years ago, and when I did that, I would go to the candidates and I would say, "Hey, our federal debt is $14 trillion. This is out of control. What are you going to do?" And there are lots of plans and lots of good intentions. And it's been 10 years, and now our debt is $34.5 trillion and growing quickly, and nothing has happened. What we're sending, it's not working. It's not changing. The people in Washington don't understand what that out of control federal spending does to us, to our families. When out of control government spending causes crazy inflation, it doesn't affect their families the way it does ours. My family feels it, and so do most of the families in the 3rd District. My middle income family felt it when grocery prices doubled. I had kids in diapers when the diaper prices literally doubled. It's not working. If we continue to spend like this, if we continue to send the same politician back to Washington to represent us in Congress, we're going to get the same results. I will go back and pass a balanced budget. That's my #1 priority. It won't be about re-election. It will be about my special interests, the kids, the grandkids, the future of our economy. My name is Kathryn Dahlin, and I would appreciate your support.
Okay, do we have Zach and Lucky and JR in case? Take you in that order if you're here. Thank you.
Evening, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Thank you to Mark and everyone else for making this happen. My name is Zach Wilson. I'm 29 years old. I'm a convention-only candidate. I think a lot of you know what that means. I'm chairman of the Utah Young Republicans. Thank you. And I'm a private equity professional. I am running to restore old values and inspire new voices. Now, that is a catchphrase. What does that actually mean? I'll break it down. One, we need to return our government's focus to basic principles: limited government, separation of powers, and federalism. I read, my spare time, I read the Federalist Papers, I read Common Sense by Thomas Paine. You may call me a nerd. I love it. This is my girlfriend over here. We've been dating for 4 months. She interned for Mike Lee. Our dates are all about federalism, so you can think about that. Second, I appreciate that. Second, I am running to rein in the disastrous spending habits. I'll call it an addiction, not habits, back in Washington, D.C. I work in private equity. I studied finance at BYU. I was president of the Finance Society while there. I stand alone in this race for understanding inflation, rates, the Federal Reserve. I understand that deeply. Every time the Federal Reserve releases anything, I'm all over it. I read about it. I could tell you what SOFR is today, what LIBOR is today. That is my second language. The third reason, and perhaps the most important, I think it resonates more with the delegates than anything else I've said tonight. I am running to restore a sense of American idealism in young people. I greatly fear what happens in the next couple generations in a state like Utah, which is the youngest state in the country. Congressional District 3 is the youngest district in the youngest state. I am running to send a clear message to young people everywhere. It is okay to say you love your country. It is okay to love the history of this country, to love the institutions. I am running to relate to these young people in a way that no one else in this race can. I don't like identity politics. I like ideas politics, but only one person in this race can relate to our young and thriving generation. I'm Zach Wilson. I'm a convention-only candidate, and I would sure appreciate your vote. Thank you.
I don't think Lucky's here, so I guess I'm up. But I'm J.R. Bird. I'm running for Congressional District 3, and I really appreciate a lot of the things that have been said tonight. So when you talk about coal dust on your boots, I've got coal dust on my boots. I've got manure on my boots. I'm from the Uinta Basin, born and raised. And so I understand a lot of those things. When you're talking about public lands, when you're talking about, BLM and government overreach, those are things that I've lived my whole life. A little bit about me. Grew up poor, fairly poor, but lived the American dream and was able to start my first business in the oil and gas industry. I became the mayor of my hometown. We talk about the things that we will do when we get to Washington. I want to talk about a little bit about what I've done as a mayor. When I first got elected on the council, I saw a Good Old Boys Club that existed. I led the charge to root out corruption in Roosevelt. Not only that, as soon as that regime was voted out, something that people said would never happen. It had existed for 30 or 40 years. We got them voted out. The very next thing we did is implement term limits. We got that passed. I'm in my second term. I'm done. We talk about things that we'll do, and these are things that I have done. When we talk about the budget and finance, I'm a business owner. I've bought businesses, I've restored businesses, taken them from failing to success. These are things that I'm familiar with. Energy policy, this is my life. This is what I've done for the last 23 years. When we talk about immigration and the border, I've lived with the Latin community and understand the problems that we have. We're incentivizing illegals to come across, and we're penalizing legals. This should not happen. Not only do we not like that, but the people that have come here legally do not like that. We have to stop the illegal flood of immigrants across the border. These are things that I know. These are things that I'm passionate about. These are things that will differentiate myself from the rest of the candidates. birdforcongress.com. Thank you so much. And Mark, thank you for having us tonight. Appreciate it.
So my twin brother from different mother, Senator Hinkins, got his hair cut. I'm not planning on getting mine cut until we clean up our politics. You know, I ingested 1,000 hours of legislative and Senate hearings in January that our Utah legislature participated in. 1,000 hours. 591 bills passed. Governor vetoed 7. I heard a lot of people patting themselves on the back for, over the last 10 years or so, $1.2 billion in tax breaks. I did a little bit of math. I appreciate the 12 cents a day break. With that said, Senator Hinkins, would you please report to the pulpit? Senator Hinkins, let's have you lead, and then we'll do our AGs. Thank you.
Thank you. And I first met Mark when we was working on cleaning up American Fort Canyon. I've been in the Senate now for 16 years, and I started out working in the coal mines. I went to Utah Technical College in Provo, and went to work for the U.S. Steel Horse Canyon mine, and I worked there for 3 years till they shut down the Geneva plant in Orem. And because we didn't have coal market, we weren't competitive because we'd been a captive market. I ended up moving back to my hometown in Orangeville, Utah, in Emery County, and started an electrical business, and I repair all the big electric motors for all the coal mines and power plants. And it came to, I went to a mining convention in Carbon County at the country club, and when Mike Dimitrich, who had been in the legislature for 40 years as a Democrat, he said that the only person that could replace his seat would be a Republican from Emery County. And since all of the boys there were from Carbon County and they were mostly Democrats, then they had endorsed, some of them had endorsed Obama, President Obama, and who wanted to kill coal. And so I was basically railroaded into running for the Senate, which I'd never been to the Capitol before. And it's been quite an experience, a real eye-opener, but my real intent is to try to keep the coal-fired power plants operational in the Huntington and Hunter power plants and keep the mines. When I first started in business, there was 30 coal mines and 7 federal mine inspectors. Now there's 30 mine inspectors and 6 to 7 coal mines. And so you can see what's kind of how a turnaround has been. They've over-regulated the industry. I also, my son's a mining engineer. We have a tungsten mine over in Rachel, Nevada, a tungsten and silver mine that we're trying to, tungsten is no longer mined in the United States. We're completely dependent upon China. 85% of the tungsten comes from there. So when it comes to armor-piercing bullets or to protect our vehicles, tungsten is very important. And so we're trying to rejuvenate that mine. And so I enjoy being in the Senate, and I enjoy representing Daniel, Charleston, and Timber Lakes. I represent 9 counties total, and so thanks for your support.
Let me read off a couple. Let's have Frank and then Trent come up for Attorney General. Rachel's up in Logan. She wishes that she could be here. Didn't hear back from Derek Brown. Then after, let's move into our Senate. Pardon me? Oh. Then let's go to Brent Hatch. And do we have anybody here for John Curtis? Chandler? Jeremy Freebaum? Jason? So we'll go to that. If you can remember that order, I can't.
I'm Frank Myler, and I'm running for Utah State Attorney General. I've been married for over 36 years to my wife Debbie back here. We have 5 adult children that have graduated from college. We actually just returned, literally, before we came here, from Phoenix, Arizona, where my second son just got married down there. So we're excited about that. That's really one of the passion that fuels me why I'm running for this race. Because I'm pro-family for my family personally, as well as everybody else's. And my motto, you'll see, is trusted experience. I want you to really take this to the bank. I want you to really research every candidate that you can for Attorney General. Google their cases that they've been involved in. 2 candidates, you will find 0 to none. You will find almost no cases in the state of Utah that any of them have litigated. Now, the other thing that's very important is I'm the only one that's had jury trials. That's combat when you're an attorney, having a jury trial. I'm the only one that's argued many times before the Utah Supreme Court. That's also combat, and the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals. Now, other candidates have made these sound like they've filed something to the U.S. Supreme Court. They haven't. I'm the only candidate that's licensed to even practice before the U.S. Supreme Court. And you can Google it, you can find lots of cases. So that's the experience. Why can you trust me? Because they're going to say the same things that I'm saying. In fact, some of them say it better than I say it. But I'm going to tell you why you can trust me, because I've been in the trenches fighting for constitutional rights all 36 years of my practice. And you can take that to the bank. You can research ADF Legal, AllianceDefendingFreedom.org, and you can find the kinds of cases. I've defended pro-life sidewalk counselors against criminal charges in Salt Lake, went to trial, we won. I'm the only candidate that's even had any criminal law experience, and yet that's considered the chief law enforcement officer in the state. You can know that I'm going to fight to protect federal lands every stinking day I'm in that office, because that's the kind of thing that I've been doing. I've been in the trenches fighting. I'm going to get rid of this sanctuary state nonsense, and I'm not going to stop there. I'm a convention-only candidate, and I ask for you to support me for Attorney General. Thank you.
My name is Trent Christensen. I'm an America First candidate for Utah State Attorney General, and as your Attorney General, I am going to drain the Salt Lake swamp. No, thank you. Let me tell you what that means. We have an utter lack of election integrity in this state, and that is leading to a culture of corruption in this state that is keeping your voice from being heard in the Capitol, and I'm going to fix that. On day 1 of my administration, we are going to begin a full statewide transparent audit of Utah's electoral system. You need to know that your votes as Utah voters count, and only your votes are counting. Now, there's a lot that an Attorney General can do, but you have to stand and go above and beyond, right? You have to have a vision. We have experience. I've been a litigator. I've done cases in complex business litigation in Boston, and I've had cases, pro bono cases, where I protected parental rights. But it's not enough to just go in and do the job. You've got to step above and beyond and have a vision for the future of what you're going to accomplish for the people of Utah, and election integrity is my #1 issue. If you don't have election integrity, you have nothing. And that's what I'm going to fight for day 1 in the office. Second, top cop. Utah's Attorney General is the top cop in the state. That means you need to have relationships with those law enforcement officers. Just because someone's a chief law enforcement officer doesn't mean that they're the state's attorney. They're your attorney against the power of the state when they come for you, even against the power of my own office when necessary. So I will work with local law enforcement, and in particular the county sheriffs, to make sure that your rights are protected. And when we build those relationships, we're finally going to be able to fight what's going on at the southern border and protect our laws and make sure that this never becomes a sanctuary state. That is my biggest issue right now, because that's what's happening. Look, I'm not getting into this race race because I want power. I want to pull the power down. I'm not getting into this race for fame. I have the love and adoration of my 4 children, and that's all I need. But I will not allow them to grow up in a state where we become California in 10 years. I will not allow them to grow up in a state that acts like a sanctuary state. And I will not allow my children to grow up in a state where the federal government acts with impunity to take away our rights, take away our lands, and take away our voices. I'm the Attorney General candidate that's been a CEO. I can bring litigation and leadership to this office and protect your individual rights. Thank you.
Several years ago, I found myself in the White House serving as the President's counsel. And a tragedy had happened. A hurricane had hit Puerto Rico, and it had wiped out the electrical grid. All the police abandoned their posts, and the prison guards opened the prisons and took off for home. And I was called by the President and said, you need to get down to the Situation Room now. The Situation Room is just almost exactly like you see it in the movies every time you see a movie, and buried in the White House. It's a secure area. And I was there with the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the Deputy Chief of Staff of the President, several other military officers, and we were deciding whether or not we would send the military in to restore order. And we're getting shortwave radio broadcasts from people, this is a Second Amendment pitch too, they're on top of their stores with shotguns and rifles trying to protect their property because civil order was gone. And I'll never forget when we talked about sending the military in, someone said, can we just send it in with rifles but no bullets? And the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff said, that's cutting the bologna mighty thin, son. If we go in, we're going in locked and loaded. I learned something that day. You go in locked and loaded. I'm the only candidate in this race that clerked for Robert Bork on the judiciary, a conservative judge who worked for President Ronald Reagan, who worked in the White House, and for 36 years ran the Federalist Society. I helped organize it and run it as the largest conservative legal organization in America. And we helped President Reagan, President Bush Jr., and Donald Trump pick conservative justices for our Supreme Court. And like I told some of you, what lasts longer than a president? That. I'm that bullet. I'm the person to go in locked and loaded. I'm a conservative that walks the walk, just doesn't talk the talk. I've done it. I can hit the road running. I don't need on-the-job training. I hope you'll vote for me. Brent Hatch for Senate. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Chandler Tanner, and I'm running for U.S. Senate. I'm running for U.S. Senate because living the American dream has worked really well for me. I'm the grandson of a coal miner, the nephew of a coal miner. My name is Chandler Hinkins Tanner, if you didn't make that connection. I grew up in Orangeville, graduated top of my class from BYU, went to Harvard Law School and got a JD, went on to Oxford and got a master's degree in history from there. Worked in law for a couple of years in New York and then returned to Utah, where 10 years ago, I started a company that supports childhood literacy. It provides tools and families with tools, online tools, to encourage reading and to make our youth strong readers, which is one of the best things we can do for them. That company has allowed me to return to Orangeville. When I was a little boy, I grew up watching my Uncle David drive around town, go to his shop, and I was inspired to also be an entrepreneur. So I started this company like him with 2 of my brothers, and we've run it for 10 years and sent over 1 million books to families around America and have over nearly 100,000 users of our software. Now I'm back in this small town with 4 kids and my wife. My kids ride their bikes around with friends after school. We have the coal mines and the power plants, and I have to tell you, since my Uncle David is here, I have to say I used to drive around and see a bumper sticker on his truck that said, "Earth first, we'll mine the other planets later." That's a sentiment I think we can all agree with. I love our rural lives, I love our rural areas, I love being in our town of Orangeville. I want to preserve that experience for our kids. I have credentials and abilities that I think could help Utah have a strong representative in the Senate, someone who can command attention there and do great things like we've seen other young senators do in other states. Ted Cruz in Texas, Tom Cotton in Arkansas. They come with a similar background, strong academic credentials, youth and vitality to go in and make a big impact, and I offer the same option for Utah. Please support me at the convention. I'd really appreciate your support and love being here.
Hello, everyone. Trent Staggs, running for U.S. Senate. Mark, thank you for putting this together. I am in this race because the establishment is killing us. In 2018, Tucker Carlson wrote a book entitled Ship of Fools. For far too long, we've been electing folks that go back to D.C. and care more about being part of the establishment than pushing up and standing up against it. You know what? What's typified my career and my 10, now 11 years going on in office in Riverton City is to always stand up to the establishment. I've done it in the way in which I've run this race. I'm the only one that was willing to challenge Mitt Romney. I got into this race in May. We just pushed and pushed and explained why he has got a horrible record. He went down from 50 to 30% favorability, said he wasn't seeking re-election in September. Everybody else in this race came in after that fact. Also, in my time, first to endorse President Trump, I was always the one that stood up to lockdowns and mandates of any kind as a mayor. Stood up to ESG, inappropriate materials in school, high-density housing. I am proven, I am tested. You know what you're going to get with me. That's why we've got the endorsements of so many. Mark Levin, Charlie Kirk, Kerry Lake, Senator Tommy Tuberville, who came out here and said, look, I'm endorsing Trent Staggs because he's the guy. He supports President Trump. We need 7 or 8 more of him so that we can have a Republican majority again and a majority of people, not just with R's next to their name, but are actual America First constitutional conservatives. That's what I will do day one, be able to work with President Trump in January 25 with this coalition that I've already built. I'm also convention only. How many here are state delegates? We went out, we raised over $1 million. I could have bought signatures like some of these other folks, many that are in the race, but I committed day one, we were only going to go through the caucus convention system. I'm a man of my word, and that's what we've done. So I'm seeking your support to go ahead and win at convention, and then we will have the ability to go on and beat the establishment folks in this race in the primary in June, and finally get another Mike Lee conservative in the Senate representing us. Thank you.
How are you all doing sitting in those flimsy chairs, those stretcher legs? Yeah. Okay, come on up. I did want to just mention that Carolyn Pippin is up in Cache Valley, and she did get excused. She sends her regards.
My name is Josh Randall, running for U.S. Senate as well. I'm a major change candidate. I'm only running convention route as well. When I say a major change candidate, the first thing I talk about is faith. I believe there are certain things that need to be done right now in the federal government that are going to require some faith. I mean, I wonder what the eyes of people look like back here when I'm going to talk about some of this stuff, but we need to decentralize the Federal Reserve or decommission it. We have a major problem with the way that it's functioning right now. Our Social Security system needs to be privatized. Our Medicare system needs to be privatized. Our food stamps and Medicaid systems need to go back to the states. These are major changes. A lot of people in this race, I feel like I'm a CPA. I'm the father of 6 kids under the age of 10. I wonder how many people want to become CPAs in this stage. Just by raise of hand, how many would like to be a CPA? But that's the type of work that's needed right now in Congress. Somebody who reads through laws, finds the financial ramifications, and makes the changes. And some of them might take miracles. We need faith to perform miracles right now in Congress. The Founding Fathers did it this way, with a faith to perform miracles. And I'm telling you, these are the answers. I can help with these answers. That's the reason that I'm running. If we don't send a major change candidate, it's really not going to matter who you send, because they're going to do the same thing that's been done for the last 50 years. If we don't send a major change candidate with the faith and the willingness to go stare at the numbers and read through the laws, it won't change. Josh Randall, running for U.S. Senate, I appreciate your vote at convention. Thank you.
Just have to say, Buck, you're really controlling this meeting nicely. Thank you. Let's jump over to Senate Race 24. We have Brad Daw here. Kevin Stratton's unavailable to meet with us, but he does have a booth back here. Didn't hear back from Dan Hemmert. Senator Bramble did call today. He withdrew from the race, and we're going to invite him up to take a look at the Wallsburg Museum one of these days.
Thank you, Mark. My name is Brad Dahlin. I'm running for Senate District 24. That covers part of Orem, part of Provo, and all of Wallsburg. I want you to know I grew up in Shelley, Idaho. It has a grand total of 1 stoplight, so in my opinion, Wallsburg is exactly the right size. This is my first time being in a town hall up here. I guarantee you, if I'm elected, it will not be my last. I love meeting with the people. I love returning and reporting, and you'll get tired of me just coming up here, but I would love to be able to have that opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, I have served in the legislature for 14 years in the House. I can tell you not just what I'm going to do, but what I have done. I have fought against healthcare mandates as the chair of the Health and Human Services Committee, and will continue to do so. I have opposed taxpayer-funded stadiums for people who have to spend $100 a ticket. That's not right. That's not a wise use of taxpayer money, and I will oppose that. Here in Utah, we love legal immigration, and that's what I will support. The rest of you, we like you to go back and come to the country the way the law specifies. And frankly, ladies and gentlemen, one more thing I want to say very bluntly. In my opinion, DEI is DOA. Thank you.
Just come now? Sure. Thank you so much.
Mark, thanks so much for putting all this together. My name is Michael Cook. I'm running for Senate District 25. That's Mike McHale's district. I don't believe in nepotism in the government, and I don't believe that someone should legislate and draft the bills and then his brother-in-law sign it into law. The reason I'm here is because many of you know that our state flag was taken away from us without us being able to go to ballot. I'm not even from Utah. I'm from Idaho. But I believe that your voice is most important, and your voice was taken from you. After 176 years, touching something as precious as our beautiful flag. And here's what I think. Many people would come up to me as I was gathering the 8,000 signatures. I personally gathered over 8,000 signatures. I was out there in the cold, but I was doing it so that we did not become a California. There are many people that would come up to my table and say, because I was at Gunny's, I know that they're already an American first, like I am, type of a person. I know that they're my people. So that's who I would go to, and they would say, I escaped California. I'm so grateful to be in Utah. Where do I sign? Okay, this is the reason I got in the race. But let me tell you, because I'm going against the brother-in-law of Governor Cox, the LG is blocking me at the ballot box. And I need your help. I've only got 7 days. My area is from Provo North, Provo North all the way down to Payson, and it includes Salem, Woodland Hills, everything. If you would, please take a flyer from me and see what I'm all about, when you scan that. but I only got 7 days because I am also a convention only, but she's not allowing it. She says the only way that you're going to get on the ballot, you've got to gather 2,000 signatures verified from people in your district. And even if you were to go to convention and you were to win, we're not going to certify your win. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Michael Cook, District 25 against Mike McKell, brother-in-law to Cox. Thank you so much.
Gathering signatures is no easy task. I did a couple hundred, so I salute you for your efforts. When I gathered signatures up here, many of the farmers had no idea. Probably still don't. If we could, let's have the assessor, the incumbent first, and then we'll have Bob Adams. So Todd first.
So I am running for re-election of the Wasatch County Assessor's Office. I have been the assessor for 3 years. I have been in the assessor's office for almost 10 years. And during that time, I have learned a lot about Utah state tax law and the administration of assessments. Undoubtedly, most everybody in this room from Wasatch County had received the shock of a lifetime in the last 2 years. I'm sorry. I had to do it, and the reason being is when I took office, immediately the Wasatch County Taxpayers Association brought it to the council's attention and my attention that there was a great uneven taxation for the county, and it was through the assessment process. It was because that the main central part of the valley with high turnover was the most probable place where the assessments were taking place, and there was multiple areas of the county that was not being reassessed. I had no choice. I was under audits from the state auditor's office, the Utah State Tax Commission, who was also audited by the state auditor's office. I had the state legislature inquiring, the governor's office inquiring. I had everybody watching this problem, and I had to cure that problem that year. I couldn't do it. I didn't have enough time. The first year I was in office for 4 months, and then we closed the tax roll. I had 1 more year to get it in. 2022 was the year of the biggest increases that we've had. I had to do that. There's laws, and I will send everybody a copy of that law by email, all the delegates. I need your vote April 2nd so that I can continue on. For the first 3 years, all I've done is get the county as a whole caught up together. We are all now on the same level playing field. Is it perfect? No. But I'm working on it, and I haven't stopped working since the day I started. I've been here for every one of you. I can look every one of you in the eye and say, I work for you every single day. You are on the top of my mind every minute of every hour that I'm in that office, and I ask for your vote on April 2nd.
My name's Bob Adams. I'm running for Wasatch County Assessor. In my opinion, we need to look at the audits that have been done, because they're third-party independent audits, and come up with a plan on how we're going to implement those. It needs to be a lot of detail, and there needs to be a lot of daylight on it. We need to let the public know and report to the public what's needed and what we have to do. My background is in city management. I have had the reputation of being a fixer, where I go into organizations that have not been doing what they should be doing and straightening them out. And I've had a good success record doing that during my 40-plus year career. I'm a court-validated expert witness on local government issues, and I am also a government organizational efficiency consultant. And I think that we can do it better. I believe that we should start with transparency, make sure that we are open in how we develop our assessments and our evaluations so people know how they're done. I believe we need to have steps on how we can improve or how we can appeal the process if we need to, and need to understand what is required to have a successful challenge. I also want to use citizens committees to look at various aspects of the assessor's office, because that's the best way to get information out to the people, is to have the people here. We have to listen to the people as elected officials, and I think not enough of that is being done. In my first 100 days on the job, I want to be proactive and not reactive. I want to implement best management practices. I want to prepare a review and action plan, as I mentioned before, of the auditor's reports. I want to determine customer service training needs in the office's staff so that we have better respect for the public. Also develop information sheets just on the whole process so people understand how it works and it's not a mystery or a stealth government office. I also believe in advocacy for the people. And by advocacy, I mean we need to know how we are going to address, help people address those things, and also help lobby at the state level for relief for people on fixed incomes and starting families. So I am Bob Adams, running for Wasatch County Assessor, and I need your vote. Thank you.
Okay, why don't we do Wasatch County Seat B. We have Melvin McQuarrie and Colleen and Nick.
You have that order?
My name's Melvin McQuarrie. I'm running for Seat B for County Council. I've been a resident of Wasatch County since 1977. Finished my last 2 years of high school in the Valley. Seen a lot of change. Got an education in civil engineering, a master's degree, and I'm also a land surveyor. I've been an employee of many in the county over the years. I'm now semi-retired, meaning I somewhat am retired. Anyhow, I have the time to fill this position. I have a vast knowledge and over the experience of the last 35 years. The reason I ran for the position is Steve has not run, and he's, in my opinion, done very well over the years. There was a vacancy, and so I filled it. Nobody prodded me to do this. Nobody asked me to do this. I just thought it would be a good idea. I will promise one thing: I'm honest, I'm logical, and I speak my mind, but I'm teachable, and I will work with the other members of council in all decisions, and you usually come up with the best one. I served as almost a full term appointed in City of Page in '98 through, I think, about 2001. And I learned that very thing. You take everything up and down on the merits, and you make the right decision, and usually the right decisions with a group. I have I will end it there. Thank you.
I feel like I'm coming through the curtain at the Tonight Show or something. I'm Nick Lopez. I am a retired U.S. Marine Sergeant Major. I spent 25 years in the Marine Corps, retiring as a Sergeant Major. I'm a combat veteran of Iraq in 2003, and I was served in the Gulf War in 1991. I work full-time for the Salt Lake City Fire Department and been doing that for 30 years. My time in the Marine Corps, I should note that it was active and reserve time. But I've spent 30 years in the fire department, and I'm currently still working for the fire department because I love it. And the reason I want to run for office here is because I've got a lifetime of proven leadership, both in the Marine Corps and in the fire department, and my service to others. That's what I want to do. That's what I chose my whole life to do. And I've been serving this nation, I've been serving this community of Salt Lake City as a firefighter, and I've been doing things within the community here based on those things. You may have seen the banners of veterans on Main Street in Heber. That's a project that I started with the encouragements of an idea from a resident. I've done I got a name, I renamed or worked with the city council and got the only veteran killed in Vietnam, a street named after him in Heber. Blaine Welch was killed, young Lance Corporal. I also got a World War II, there was two brothers, the Jones brothers, and one of them didn't come home from World War II. We got a park named after him. I'm here because I got a lifetime of service. I know I can do a great job for Wasatch County. I got the fortitude and everything you've ever heard about a Marine, about digging in and fighting for his troops, that's me. And I look at the residents as the same way. The motto of the Marine Corps is Semper Fidelis, and that I live by that, and I will always live by that. So I'm here to serve you. Thank you.
Okay, let's do Wasatch County Seat D. We have Kendall and Mary.
Thank you. I appreciate being here, and thank you, Mark, for putting this together. I'm a state delegate, and I've appreciated the opportunity to listen to these different candidates that we'll be looking at the end of April in the state convention. Appreciate that. I'm running for re-election on County Council Seat D. I think in my time that I've been in that office, I've proven that I'm committed to put forth the time needed to do the job and to learn about the issues. I've been about county business since 7:30 this morning. Visited Sanpete County to learn more about one of the committee assignments I'm on, one of the 15+ committees I'm on. And it's been a good day. It's been a full day, but I've learned a lot to take back to continue with that assignment. As a county councilman, I'm experienced. As I said, I'm on 15+ committees. Most of those I end up eventually the chairman of the committee. I've been on chairman of most of the committees I've been on. And I've worked hard to learn. When issues come before, as we go before, I've taken the time to learn what the issue is. I'm fair-minded. I'm willing to listen to anybody, hear your opinion. If you bring up something I wasn't aware of, I take the time to find out and learn about it, and committed to do that and continue to do that. Just to close up a little bit, appreciate Todd running. Just a word for Todd. He's worked hard in the 3 years he's been here to correct problems that were created, many problems were created by the prior two assessors that you elected. Let's not make that same mistake this time around and get somebody in. Let's put somebody that's proven they're doing it and they can do it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mary Williams, and I am running for you for Wasatch County Council. I acknowledge that a lot of these people back here want to do a lot of good things, but I also acknowledge that we can't trust our elections, and we can't trust that we will have what we need to get done in the state. So I'm running because I feel that if we're going to save this country, we need to save it at a county level. We need to hand count our elections here. Yes. We need to be able to set a precedence for other counties. We need to be able to say no to the federal government. We need to be able to say no to the state government. I am a mother of 8. I own a business. And running for this council, I would take a pay cut. I don't need that. I would be busier. I don't need that. But I do need to be able to stand before my God and know that I did what I need to do. I had people call me and ask me to run for this position. and I'm standing up to do that because I have also been a chairman for many volunteer organizations. I've worked with a soccer club, Park City Soccer Club is one of their heads for the last 11 years. That's how much they loved me doing it. So I do know how to make things happen. And I've heard a blessing that there was a blessing upon this county, I don't even know, 100 years ago, that said that the greatest healers on the earth would come to this valley, to Wasatch County. And for a long time, me having been in the medical field, and then now I'm a natural healer, I thought that that was what it was, and now I realize that it is to heal this country. And that's what we're going to do in this county, is heal this country. Thanks, Mary Williams.
Why don't we do the state auditor next? We've got Tina Cannon and Ricky Hatch. Tina, would you like to go first?
I keep looking for the primary step stool in here. Surely they have it. Is it underneath? I know we used to be able to lower these. People keep asking me, are you sure you're tall enough to run for state auditor? And I keep answering, of course, I'm the perfect size. I'm in stealth mode. No one ever sees me coming. And now you know why, because you can't see me behind the microphone either. So I'm Tina Cannon, and as we've talked about just recently, that was my audit. I'm currently in the state auditor's office. I'm a senior policy advisor. I have a background in accounting, spent my life in the private sector, finding out whose money that was that we collected. The most important quality in a state auditor is a backbone, because sometimes you say the hard things. And sometimes you need to understand what it means when there's a tax shift from one set of the county to another. And you ought to be willing to say it. And when people haven't been taxed correctly for 5 years, you ought to say it. And it's unfortunate that we can't own where we were, because this little theme they gave me up here says, that which is measured improves. That which is measured and reported on, improves exponentially. That's what we do every day. We stand for fiscal compliance and we stand for statutory compliance. We should follow the law in government. We make you follow the law. Government should follow the law too. I'm Tina Cannon. I'm running for your state auditor. I appreciate your vote on April 27th.
Hi, my name is Ricky Hatch. I'm running for state auditor. We have a world full of symbols, and each one has its own meaning and unique symbol. There is one symbol that stands out for its brain power, for its simplicity, and that represents total nerdiness. And that symbol is the pocket protector. Now, that symbol is not as weighty as the cross or the symbol of a dove, but it symbolizes diligence and it symbolizes intellect. And as your state auditor, I will be your ultimate pocket protector, protecting your pockets from waste, from fraud, from abuse, from the inefficiencies of government overreach. I have a 30-year track record as an auditor across multiple sectors, and I understand good auditing, and I understand good governance. My motto is that you build a fence at the top of the cliff rather than an ambulance at the bottom. I am the only CPA in this race, and I am the only auditor in this race. Trust me, you want a nerd protecting your pockets, protecting your rights to your inalienable rights to property, to the money in your pockets. I'm Ricky Hatch. I am a CPA. I'm a total nerd, and I ask for your vote. Thank you.
My father had one of those pen protectors. State school board. Anybody have interest in school board issues? Or should we call it a night? No. Before we do that, can I see a hand? County delegates here? Very good. State delegates? Very good. It's been amazing. So is the school board the last one that we haven't done? Has anybody not spoken? Jim, you are the surveyor. Yes. I have talked to you before on the phone. He is amazing. I'm glad you're here. We'll give you, let's do this school board, then we'll have you come up, okay? Thank you, Jim. I was on the board of directors for the Utah Stream Access Coalition, trying to figure out how to protect access below the Heber, or below Deer Creek. And Jim provided a very important document that showcased perhaps a Scrivener's error, a typographical error that puts the easement up on the mountain. So if we can't get access to the Provo River, my proposal is we move the mountain. Why don't we go with James first, then Cole.
Thank you, Mark. It's great to be with you, Wasatch. Jim Moss, I'm from up the road in Midway, so it's great to see a lot of friends and neighbors here. I am running for re-election to the state board. I'm the current representative of District 12, which goes from Orem up to Midway and out to Vernal. I'm also serving as the current chair of the state board. So since I'm up for election, I'd like to report what I've been up to. I'm a lawyer by day. I also teach political science at UVU. Got 5 kids here in the public school system. 3 are grown, 2 are still here. So that's what drives me to do what I do. When I ran on academic excellence, freedom, and flexibility. And I'd like to tell you what I've done there. When I came on the board, the mission statement of the Utah State Board of Education was that we advance equitable conditions. We decided equitable can take you down all kinds of roads. So we changed it. It's now academic and organizational excellence. That's what USB does. Everything flows from that. Let me tell you how I've supported freedom and flexibility for parents, for teachers, and for students. First, I worked, believe it or not, we didn't have at the state board a person at the top line leadership devoted exclusively to parents and parents' rights. So I changed that. I worked with the leadership of the legislature to get funding for a parent liaison engagement specialist. That person, we hired her, great charter director from out in Vernal. She's currently analyzing parent complaints, reaching out to resolve them, and working with schools to improve constructive parental engagement. Second, I proposed and passed, I wrote a rule that said a teacher cannot invite, suggest, or encourage a student to reconsider or change their sexual orientation or gender identity. Parents need freedom. Parents need freedom from divisive ideologies. We got that passed. A similar bill didn't quite pass the legislature, but I'm here to say it's already locked because we passed it last November. It also prohibited advancing of partisan ideologies, and it required every school that gets a complaint from a parent about teacher misconduct to report it to our licensing division. No black holes, no wondering what happened by parents. It comes to us so we can decide if they did the right thing or if we have to take action ourselves. Finally, we worked to repeal an educational equity rule. When we didn't have the votes, we reworked it and we turned it into the equal opportunity rule. We tracked recent legislative changes on anti-CRT and anti-DEI. I worked with the legislature on both of those, and we passed that last fall as well. For teachers, teachers often get locked in with the union, steps and lanes. You go up one step at a time. I worked with Candace Perucci, the chair of the House Education Committee, to create a new lane, a new path for teacher leaders. Stay in the school. You don't have to become a principal. You're recognized and paid for your merit in instructional leadership in your building. For students, I helped change our social studies standards. Believe it or not, Brigham Young was not in our Utah social studies standards. That seemed a bit off, so I got him added. We did a number of things. I worked with the, excuse me, I'm cottonmouth. I worked with the UVU Center for Constitutional Studies to get things added to support. Are you saying I'm out of time? I'm sorry, I was waiting for the buzzer. All right, I'll wrap up from there. I've also worked for students and teachers to get freedom by supporting charter schools and the voucher bill that was passed last fall. There's a lot of challenging things going on in Utah, but there's a lot of good things. I've enjoyed my term on the board. I hope you'll send me back for a second term. Thank you.
My name is Cole Kelly. I'm running for the State Board of Education. I've been a school teacher for 27 years. I'm a unique brand of school teacher. I am a conservative teacher. But I've spent 27 years kind of battling against my teachers' union. I stand against the ideology of my teachers' union. And I think it's important that we send representatives to our state school board that are going to stand against the teachers' union. My teachers' union will campaign against me, okay, as a school teacher. One of the things I want to emphasize, if there's only 2 of us in this race, if you like the direction that our schools are going in terms of the curriculum that's being pushed into our schools, stay with the incumbent. If you want to see somebody that's going to fight against it and that's going to stand up against it, I'm a wrestling coach. You think I know how to fight? Elect a wrestling coach, okay? And I'm in Heber Valley, so come on, guys, you know what that's about, right? I just want to use this example. What's happening right now in the state of Utah is that we've got a good legislature. They will pass a bill like the sensitive materials bill, where they're trying to get pornography out of our schools. We will have an attorney general who will write an opinion on that will say we need to get sensitive materials out of our school and get pornography out of our schools. And then we have a weak state school board who's not implementing the law and not getting those books out of our school. And we need strong leadership at the State Board of Education that's going to follow up on the legislation that's being passed by our legislature and get the crap out of our schools that our children should not be exposed to at a young age. We're not talking about banning books. We're talking about getting pornography out of our schools. My name's Cole Kelly, and I'm a convention-only candidate, and I hope that you'll vote for me on April 27th. Thank you.
Understand Colleen Bonner just came in? Is that true? Yeah. Would you like to speak? Yes. Can you do a cartwheel on your way up? Tina left her mark here. So we'll just...
I have a really loud mouth, so I'm good. I probably don't even need a microphone.
We'll just let Jim be our anchor. So Tina, why don't you come first?
You want me to do it? Okay. So, hi, I'm Colleen Bonner, and I am running for the Wasatch County at-large seat. And I held my own cottage meeting tonight, and so I'm sorry I'm late. And I tried to get to Bob's event earlier and did my own thing. And I said I've got to run at least to Wallsburg and see what they're doing, and come for the invitation that was given. And so, first of all, just thank you all for being here and for being willing to be delegates for the county and the state. It's you guys who make a difference in our community. If we don't get the grassroots and the local people to show up, then our government just doesn't work the way it needs to work. So thank you for being willing to, first of all, come and to be a delegate for the county. Just one thing that I want to just really encourage those of you who are delegates, and if you are a chairman in your precinct, please make sure your delegates get to the county convention next Tuesday night. We have to have a quorum, which is, we have roughly 250, I don't know the exact number, of delegates. You have to have 50% of those, and to even have a quorum and to be able to vote. So it's really important, not just to show up here, but to show up where it really matters, and where it really matters is at the convention. So I was on the Midway City Council for 12 years, and I was the mayor of Midway for 4 years. And so what I feel like I can bring to Wasatch County is just that experience of being able to work with the citizens, and I have somewhat of a working knowledge of how government works and what the roles are and what the roles should be. And I think it's super important in Wasatch County as we grow, and our future, we need to decide what that future looks like and work together as a community, as a whole, all of us. to set some boundaries for what we want this county to look like. So anyway, just there you go. Thank you very much. And make sure you're at the convention on Tuesday night.
I'm Jim Kaiserman. I'm the county surveyor up for re-election. I've been the county surveyor for nearly 4.5 lustrums. If you don't know what a lustrum is, you haven't watched enough John Wayne movies. The county surveyor kind of goes under the radar until somebody has a problem with their property. And then they come beating a path to my door. I understand the state code, I understand boundary law, not an attorney, but I understand boundary law because I've been around it a long time. I make the decisions on what the law is, what the code is. I call a spade a spade. A lot of people don't like that. A lot of people come in my office, go away disappointed because they're wrong, period. And I call a spade a spade. I kind of go by the song we sing in church. Do what is right and let the consequences follow. Sometimes these consequences are not good. But again, that's my motto. I do what's right by you to help you protect your property. Thank you.
I didn't know what a surveyor really did until a few years ago. I had the good fortune of buying a ½ acre in the middle of all the snowbirds' property and started a nonprofit. And then we took the Surveyor General of the United States, Fran Eichbush, that you probably know well, and we spent 10 days up there with high-tech satellite equipment, and the old-timers used steel chains and mules. And when I asked Kevin Bishop how close, how accurate they were, he said to the centimeter. So you young kids, if you want a cool job, be a surveyor. You're outdoors, you see the wildlife, you get good exercise, and you hold your age well. Thank you, everybody, for the coming. We're going to break from here now, and we can reconvene back there, stay as long as you want, and talk delegates to the candidates. A round of applause for everybody that came, and please. Get your friends out. Let's get the vote done. The next legislative session, whoever wins, I'm coming at you to get cameras in courtrooms. Thank you.
Help